Welcome back to Connecting the Dots, the podcast where we talk about the challenges of modern marketing with real stories and industry insights. Today, I have with me Jan Montwill, Global Media Strategist for H&M. He has over a decade of experience in both in-house and agency teams. So today we're going to be talking about the platform paradox, the myth of ad fatigue, and how to build a measurement system that works for you, your brand, and not just the algorithm. Thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of things to cover, but first I usually start with a bit of a random topic. And the random topic for today is, what's the weirdest search that you've done in the past few weeks on a search engine?
Oh, wow.
I can tell you mine.
Yeah.
Because I shared with the team last week. So the other day, I was eating oats in the morning. I often do that because I want to eat something healthy. And then my belly started to feel a bit warm. So I was like, maybe the oats are having some kind of chemical reaction in my stomach. So I started Googling, is it possible that oats make your stomach burn? And apparently it's possible if you're allergic or something like that, but I'm not. So I'm not sure why that happened. But that was, I think, the weirdest thing that I've asked. Well, actually, ChatGPT that I asked it to in the past few weeks.
I have a lot, from Gemini, a lot of questions because I just bought a country house. So I'm not very handy. So a lot of question goes in there. So I think recently was, how do I become more handy without being handy? Gemini. So he gave me a long speech of how to do it. But essentially, if you read between the lines, you just have to do it. Yeah. But I think I will be one of those handy people that just search for everything and just do everything through YouTube.
I think everyone does that anyways. That's how you learn, right? So thank you for being here today. Maybe you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the past few years.
Sure. So my name is Jan. I work at H&M as a global media strategist. Very kind of fluffy title, but what I essentially do is look over strategic partnerships and kind of how that fits into our media strategy based on the topics that we have, and not marketing strategy, but the media strategy. And that's kind of globally how I fit those partnerships to serve our media strategy that falls within the marketing strategy. Yeah, essentially what I do. And that's kind of evolved in my years at H&M because I've been here for 5 years, and I started off with just planning all branding campaigns from a media perspective, which was great fun, but now it kind of evolved to more strategic partnership oversight.
Right. And you also have a background in agencies as well, right?
I do many agencies, many years. So I started off at WPP in London, which was then called Neo at Ogilvy.
That's why you have a little bit of a British accent.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I came back to Sweden, worked for Habas for 2 years, and then went to WPP again, which was Mindshare. I was there as a digital director for a while, and then, decided that I want some free time and went client side.
Okay, makes sense. And it was interesting when we started emailing each other around, the topic, what do we want to talk about? I think maybe the first thing that you wrote was I think the platform paradox would be something I would be really happy to talk about. And I have to admit, I had to Google what that meant at the time. Now I understand the concept, but can you just explain how that concept resonates with you and how would you describe it?
The platform paradox is just the phrase, kind of, it's nothing that I use on an everyday basis. I don't think it's widely used. But what I mean by that is that all platforms, Meta, Google, TikTok, they all want your content to be tailored for their platform, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have their best practice on all the creatives and the content that goes on there, but they do want to cater for their algorithms and their users. Naturally, because their interest, first and foremost, is their business. Not you as a marketer, but their business. So they want to keep eyeballs, they want to have retention of their users, and no one wants a feed filled with ads. Because, let's be honest, people don't like ads. They come to these platforms for content, and that's what the algorithms are tailoring for. So when you talk to these platforms, they do tell you their best practice, they have feedback on your creatives and your content in general, and how to optimize it, but they do have the lens of their business first. So you just need to have that in mind when you think about tailoring for platforms. That you need to think about your business, and then kind of tweak it based on their best practice, and not fall into the doing everything that the platforms tell you to do, because then you're feeding their business and not yours. So you kind of find the balance, and that's kind of what I mean with the paradox. They tell you what to do, which is great, but they're doing it for their own good, which is obviously that what everyone else is. I mean, influencers, they will promote themselves first and foremost, and then your brands, and you should be promoting your own brand and not everyone else's interests.
Yeah, makes sense. When do you think, or in which cases do you think this platform paradox, or the fact that platforms are basically pushing their own best practices, is more risky for companies?
Oh, I think right now, both in cost and in just blandness of ads. Because right now, if you look at the best practices to create as many ads as possible, just for the algorithm to learn, right? And the platforms tell you something like you need a bunch of different variations of ads. They need to follow these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. You need to change them quite a lot because no one wants ad fatigue, no big logos, and then etc. We've all heard it. And then kind of as a marketer, you then end up creating loads of ads, changing them all the time, which is really costly. Maybe you can't afford creating that many ads, so you use AI obviously to do loads of ads. Everything starts looking the same. You don't really know what you're measuring. You don't know what the difference is when you start. If you go with 100 ads, you don't know what actually drives what. When you put budget behind it, and if you don't have unlimited budgets, which unfortunately none of us have, you don't have that much budget behind each variation of that. So can't really draw any conclusions. So that's kind of the risk of it all as well. You need to stick to your own principle and not just pumping out ads because of the sake of the ads. And also ad fatigue, that's a passion project of mine. To be honest, you don't really get ad fatigue from users. As marketers, we like to think that people just do nothing but just watch ads and get tired of them. But in reality, it takes so much exposure of an ad for a user or just a normal person who doesn't work in marketing to get to notice an ad, see it that many times to get tired of it. So you literally need a feed takeover for a month for someone to get bored of your ads. And by then, if you've done that, you've actually made your brand stick in someone's mind. So I think the ad fatigue, we need to be very careful when we talk about that, because in a feed, you have so many different ads coming all the time. So if you change your ad all the time, people won't remember your ads, which is the point of the ad, right?
Yeah, I really like that, because I think that's what maybe the platforms, or sometimes, media consultants will tell you is you need to change ads. We need new creative, we need to refresh, but then kind of contrast with, human psychology and what we know about, how many times you need to be exposed to an ad, or, what's the level of attention that you actually have for ads, which is usually quite low, right? So I get that. How do you navigate that at H&M? Because you obviously have a lot of different markets, a lot of different teams, and you probably create ads at scale.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
So without going into too much details, obviously, as I said, we scale back to what actually is best practice for us, incorporating the help of the platforms, because you need to work with them. They know what best works for the platform, but what works best for their platform with your content in mind. That's kind of where you need to sit as an expert. So that's where we sit. We see what we need to create, what we want to tell, what the purpose is of our creatives in the different parts of the funnel. And that's kind of where we operate with it, and not just pump out many ads to see what sticks, because that doesn't really work. Even for a brand with a significant media budget, is not viable and it's not efficient.
Who develops these best practices? Is it like within your team, or is it a central team? How do they work with, I guess, local variances?
So for us, we have like a global steered framework, which is developed by the media team together with the creative team and with the platform. So it's kind of a very nice little family to jointly create a best practice, because everyone needs to be involved, right? So because media is just the window where to show the ads. Then you have the creative department that actually fills that space with something, and then you have the platforms that knows how to show this to the end user. So you kind of need all parties to work together, and also you need the measurement department to see what actually works and what actually drives the results that you want for that specific campaign or piece of content.
And I mean, you guys obviously have a very privileged position. I mean, you're H&M, international brand, and with, I guess, direct access to the platforms. But what about those brands that don't really have that direct relationship, where they will never be able to have that? What do you think they should do?
We are a big brand, but I don't think we have access in that perspective to something that someone else doesn't have. If you're a small or medium brand, you still have access to the platform's best practice. That's still what we operate. Yeah, we have direct access to amazing teams at these different platforms to support us, but that's more to see how they develop the product, how we can scale and better optimize our media performance on those platforms, as well as creatives, of course. But the core of their best practice is available to everyone. So I think if you are a medium brand or a small brand, leverage those and work with your agency, because your agency will have that direct conversation with the platforms, and that's your best bet. Because I mean, yeah, the bigger the advertiser, the bigger the budget, the bigger the marketing department, the efforts, etc. But if you're smaller, you can get access to all this through your agency as well. So you should definitely leverage that, and then just remember to have your business first and foremost in mind. The agency will help you with that, hence why you hire an agency to be this independent consultant to support you in the media and creative landscape. That's your golden ticket into these big giants that we all need to be on for advertising, but with the leverage of an agency. So you don't have to pay the premium to get access to it.
Yeah,
it's kind of the shared space as of everything with an agency. I mean, if you're a small advertiser, you won't have access to econometric modeling in MMM or RBA, or costly DV360 seat, maybe, for example, BigQuery, etc., that you'll get through an agency. So it's leverage your agency as much as possible.
And something you said that I think is connected is, the measurement piece, because to kind of create your own internal case to understand, what kind of creatives and ads are working at, right? You need to be able to measure what's working and what's not. And that's where the role of a platform is also kind of tricky, right? Because they do have an incentive to show that their platform is the best one. And this is nothing against the platforms. It's just like how that works, right? So the way we see it at Precis, and I know you guys see it very similarly, is that measurement is more like an operating system where you just don't just plug and play one solution, but there's many things that you need to do. How do you structure that at H&M? If you can share a little bit about how you create that measurement system for the company, and also how does that work with the different local offices that you guys have?
Yeah, so holistically, if we look at it, it's we do have an advanced econometric model with MMM that measures the long term. Then we have RBA to measure short term, but we also have brand tracker. We also have campaign tracker to measure campaign basis and brand sentiment over time, etc. So all those things kind of look at a holistic perspective, and that's where all the efforts are connected. And we're also looking into creative measurement, and that is what you need to come together as a company as well, just to have a unified measurement solutions that everyone buys into. Because if you have GA4, maybe it's not the ultimate one, but at least if everyone agrees that this is the one source of truth, that is kind of what you need to stick to. Because if you just rely on platform data, you will have every single platform saying that they are driving the best results, and you won't have a consistent way of measuring it, and especially not over time, because you need that one kind of independent solution, how to fit everything. And obviously, if you don't have the budget, again, as a small company, your agency is the perfect person to go to, or the company to go to, because they will most likely have an econometric solution for you as well, if you don't have the budget to go to Kantar or Ipsos to help you out. And I know you do at Precis, and I know all the other agencies have as well. So that's something that you should definitely leverage as well, because for an agency is not an incentive to drive, or shouldn't be an incentive to drive a specific platform over another, but just to show the incremental value of all of them. So if you have a third party consultant as an agency, their solution should also be quite solid for you to measure, and also bring back to your CFO to show, look, media or marketing and media is driving this based on these factors, not just what Meta is telling us, but based on what we're seeing independently. And that sometimes correlate with the platforms, and that's great. Sometimes it does not correlate at all. Then the platforms will come screaming, probably. Why are you not
so
prioritizing
you're wrong.
us? Exactly. Why are you prioritizing us? Or super happy that we're increasing spend in another platform. So that goes those ways as well.
I think you touched upon something that is a challenge, I think, for many of our clients, which is, yes, we can pick a measurement solution, and, some have the possibility to pick different solutions like you guys have, but some is more like, okay, I pick one at, let's say, could be an attribution tool, a measurement tool, and so on, both for our B2C or also B2B clients. And then they have the challenge to have the entire team aligned, right? What you just said, it doesn't really matter what you pick, but just it matters, but pick one and make sure everyone is aligned. Maybe that's not something you've experienced at H&M, but have you experienced that when you were at the agency, that your clients had this problem, and what should they do? That's
a great point. I had it many times on the agency side that we report one thing and that does not correlate with what the client's seeing in their dashboards, in their results. And that's, the simple solution is have one solution that works, that you both feed into, because then you're both seeing the same thing. But if your agency has one dashboard that they are reporting into, where all the platform data goes into, and then you have the client that looks at that plus what they're seeing in sales and in traffic, etc. And that if that doesn't correlate, they will obviously question the agency, because they will always, or most of the time, trust their own data, obviously, because that is showing them the actual sales and revenue and profits. So you need to kind of align to make those two work. Which is not always an easy case, right? Because even an agency, the social team will also claim that they are driving better results, maybe than the programmatic team. And the programmatic team will claim that they're doing better than the out-of-home team, etc. So you kind of need everyone to see what they're contributing to, and align on that one. For us, it's RBA and MMM, which is fantastic, because then you can all see the level of ROI your channel is contributing to, and that kind of aligns with the agency, because the agency feeds into those models as well. So they can also see, all right, so our channel directly correlates to this ROI. Perfect. So we need that one system, both for the agency and your internal marketing team. Many clients, I would say, when I was on the agency side, they don't see their agency as part of their team, right? So you kind of need to do that in your media or marketing team at client side, to see the agency as an extension of your team, because that creates trust. You choose an agency for a reason, not just because you want them to buy media and then distrust them. You kind of need them to work together as an extension of your team, and then you need to trust them to have the same measurements and let them in different data points as well. Just sign an NDA and you can share,
of course,
data that will benefit the agency to make better decisions, but also show their what they're driving as well. So you're both looking at the same numbers.
And what do you think if, because obviously that's the best case is a case like H&M, or a case where you have a good measurement solution, but there are many marketing teams that maybe are relying on older ways of measuring the effect of media. What do you think is what's the best way for CMOs to actually convince the entire team, or the entire organization, to move away from those metrics and instead, let's say, adopt a more, let's call it, evolved measurement solution?
That's a great question. I think I saw a great speech on Google, I think it was 2 years ago, when someone on the stage was talking about how to convince the CFO and speak the language of the CFO. I think that is kind of the key, because in marketing, many people write and talk about this, that marketing are great at talking about marketing, but they're not great about talking of what marketing is driving in terms of CFO and C-level language. So if you get that right, so if the CMO talks CFO language, then it's quite easy to get a buy-in. All right, so this is what marketing is driving. This is what media is driving. This is what everything else is driving within marketing, and translate it into actionable CFO so to speak, language and insights, I think then you'll get a better buy-in. It's like if you can then measure it and then you can get a budget to measure it properly, I think that might be easier for marketers to sell not just media, but marketing in general.
But if you're a marketer that have a bit of a business background, you usually know how to, talk about those things.
Exactly.
But maybe there's a risk if you come from just only media background or social, or like you're trained on the platform only, you might not be able to talk about, the business side of things because you don't have that kind of background, right? And I know this is one of your favorite topics as well. Okay, so if I try to wrap up everything we talked about, so we went through what's the definition or your definition of platform paradox, which is about, platforms pushing their best practices because, of course, it creates business for them and keeps users happy because users don't want to see ads. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we create our own best practices as a company to create valuable ads for our users, but also to build that brand? So to not just copy everything that the platforms are suggesting us to do. And you can do that if you're big brands like H&M or also smaller brands, because you still have access to those. So that I think was a good takeaway for me. Then I really loved what you talked about, the refreshing ads and what you said around ad fatigue and the fact that, that's of course exists, but you need to have a little bit of thinking around what that actually means. Been a bit critical as well.
Could I just put in one thing on that fatigue one? If there's one thing I would like people to think about is instead of creating all these variations of that, just use all of that budget you were going to put that you aim to mitigate the supposedly ad fatigue. Just put that in working media and use one good creative for 1 year or for however long you can use that media spend, and you'll see much better results than just running ad variations because you're afraid of ad fatigue. 100%.
I like that. And then we talk a little bit about measurement and how you guys have more like an operating system and, how that operating system is guided by the fact that, you can't rely only on platform results and what they suggest, but of course you need to have your own. And I really like what you said, that the important thing is to pick one source of truth and then to align that with your agency as well. So I think that was really good. And is there anything I haven't asked you here on the topic that you think would be really interesting to talk about?
No, I think I've emptied my thoughts.
Okay,
on this topic.
good.
Thank you.
Okay, then thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see you for part 2.